Welcome to EIPIP Meeting 90. This is issue number 271 on EIPIP GitHub repository. I have shared agenda in chat. We have pretty light agenda for today. We have discussed open issues, pull requests, discussion continued, and updates from the past meeting, monthly insight, a little bit about EIP editing office hour. So starting from the very first item, I have added a pull request here, which is 7665. It is about website removing networking and interface categories. It seems that there are a lot of discussion on this particular pull request, and we are still not having a concrete decision. I would love for someone to maybe summarize this and let people know where we are on this. I also see another call for input, similar call for input for making decision. Open to wait till the date is there, but yeah, if anyone would like to summarize it and explain where we are.
I can't summarize in depth why, but I can give a little overview. So I think it's because having network as a separate category doesn't really make that much sense from like a process perspective. Networking changes will often go through a lot of the same like decisions, and then they involve the same people as core EIPs. So merging them with core EIPs makes some sense. And then the interface category, we have kind of pushed it off to the execution APIs repository. So getting rid of the category might encourage people to stop making new ones. That's kind of my understanding. But yeah, it's PandaPip's proposal, so I don't really want to speak on his behalf.
I just don't understand why we can't leave them there and deprecate them.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't think it's that big of an issue.
I mean, Panda just keeps saying that we cannot do this. It's not possible. And we're just like making these things up.
Well, I think historically speaking, core EIPs were a part of upgrade, and moving an interface or networking to the list of core EIP doesn't feel right to me as an individual. So I'll be more in favor of like letting it live where it is, but there should not be any further new proposal. We can just deprecate that category.
Exactly.
So there is another call for input, as I mentioned, open for the specific discussion. And I hope to get some consensus over there. The deadline suggested October 5th.
I mean, did we not just get consensus?
I don't know if we have all.
There's three of us here. I don't know how Greg felt about it, but it seemed like none of us are in favor.
So I'm not in favor of doing anything until we figure out like the ERC EIP split and whatever we end up doing with working groups. I do think putting networking into core makes some amount of sense, just because like the way I kind of envision core is anything that can cause mainnet to fork. So if you implement networking differently enough, you'll end up forking. If you implement like the EVM differently, you'll end up forking. So that's why I would put them together into their own working group. But until then, I don't want to, like, until we have working groups and the ERC EIP split, I don't want to mess around with anything.
I'm more or less agree with Sam, and like kind over here. Basically, we can leave it untouched for now. And my opinion is maybe over the time we can see more them as tags rather than categories. Basically, have fuzzy kind of a thing where you can tag, like you can have multiple tags on an EIP and sort of sort of say that this has impact on these X number of areas.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Okay.
But I mean, we're not going to go back and change the EIPs that exist, though, is the thing.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So I would just like to leave the EAPs as they are, as artifacts, not accept new ones. And we can figure out the working group. I mean, the tags is nice, but I don't want to retroactively update all of these networking EAPs. Nor do I think we should move them, because then we're going to break links.
Yeah, I think breaking links is we're not going to break links. We can make that a rule. But like if there's like if we change the rendering system so that it uses tags, for example, then I think it makes sense to update everything. That way we don't have to maintain two different rendering systems. But that's a discussion for when we update the rendering system. So.
I wonder, Greg, if you have any thoughts on this. Sorry, you may be on mute, Greg.
Oh, I'm muted instead of unmuted. I'm still way too hammered by this move to have been thinking about any of it, unfortunately. But I would tend to think that the networking stuff really is core stuff, even though it isn't directly part of the protocol. If it's important at all, it generally has to do with networking with. I'm sorry, I'm not coherent today.
I mean, I don't disagree with people that networking is a very core thing, but we just don't use EIPs for network anymore. So it's not really a debate about will we in the future have more EIPs in this networking category? Should future EIPs related to networking be in core, be in networking, be in a core tag with networking? Like we don't have networking EIPs. So it's a question about what to do with old EIPs that are of networking category.
Oh, just leave them alone. They're existing. That's how they were categorized. There's nothing to do with them, but leave them that way.
So if we try to split it into topics, there are two topics of discussion. Number one, what to do with the older EIP. And it seems like most of the people on the call, they are okay to let it live the way it was living. And the next question is like, should we have any further networking or interface EIPs in future? And if we do, we might need a working group. It seems like we may not need.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we can figure out in the future. I think we should focus on coming up with a working group for core changes as we define core to be today. And if at some point in the future people desire to write EIPs related to networking, then we can cross the bridge. But I don't want to try and, figure this out ahead of time before we really know what people want.
That makes sense. And hopefully this is the right time to maybe even define core. And based on the definition of core, maybe we can have people for core working group. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, core to me is something that modifies the consensus protocol.
Perfect. So if we have to move on from here, I'm trying to just move on from the first item that was PR number 7665. Seems like we want to leave where we are. And moving from here, if we have to define the different categories like the core and the ERC, I believe will be the two major categories for which we might need a working group. I have a proposal. I don't know if this is fair or not, but just want to share it with people here. Do we really need to keep the category, can we redefine them as type? So like earlier, we have one standard track and we have 4 different categories over there. It creates confusion. And when we are trying to organize the EIP types, categories, and the process as a whole, what do people think about, instead of calling it standard track ERC, we just call them as ERC, standard track, core as just core, and meta and informational?
Yeah, I think that generally makes sense. I'm still kind of fleshing out some of the details on working groups. But that's kind of how they look. It's just like you have just working groups, a core working group, like an EIP's like meta governance working group, and then that's it. That's pretty much all the categorization we have.
The reason for the proposal is like, I really do not see a relevance of all these like proposals being a part of a standard track type. So they can live independently. And I think that would be easier for communication purposes as well.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Anything more on this item before we move on?
Can we close this remove networking interface categories?
That's a good call. Pull request number 7665. What do people think?
So
Okay.
point of order. We can't close it until we get input from AXIC.
Or up till the end
But we
date,
already
which
have
is
rough consensus.
We don't, because AXIC hasn't presented an opinion yet.
Guys, this is
oh,
insanity.
don't worry, we have a deadline. We have a deadline for that, and that is October 5th.
Guys, there's already rough consensus. Like, the majority of us already agreed not to do this. Why are we? I mean, we're just gonna waste a bunch of time. Like, now we're gonna rediscuss this 3 more times.
ASIC's removal expires in about 15 days, so that's the real deadline.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, if you could maybe explain what happens if we do not have an absolute majority or any decision on any decision item, if we go
Sure.
by the
So
process.
it's like every editor is entitled to their opinion, so everybody gets to say, what they think. If they don't answer within 30 days from the call for input, then whatever the consensus is at the 30 days from the call for input is the decision. So it isn't a vote, it's still rough consensus, and each decision is limited to 30 days at most.
So if we do not have absolute favor or denial, we will go by like rough consensus, like whatever is majority, we will get there, right?
Yeah, so it's like so we are electing somebody as keeper of consensus, which is kind of like, just a person who determines what the rough consensus is, and when it's been reached. And then yeah, that's once that person says there's a consensus that's been reached, then the decision has been made, as long as everybody has the opportunity to, give their input.
Sounds good. So do we want to, like when the deadline is met, do we want to just bring those items on EIPIP meeting just to communicate the decision to the community, or will it just be closed in the issue? What do you think was the right approach?
I mean, we can definitely talk about it on EIPIP. I don't have a problem with that.
Sounds good. All right, I think we should perhaps wait till deadline of this discussion item, and we'll bring it after 5th of October. Anything else on this one? All right, let's move on to item number 2, which is a discussion continued or updates from past meetings. So I see EIP 5069 that has incorporated charter staff and it is added as meta. It explains what are the mission, structure, membership, decision-making process, everything else. I wonder if there are any further things that we would like to communicate, or do we need to update it any further? Very well. So that's there. There are people coming up on Discord for questions around what EIP editors can or cannot do. For those people, I'll highly recommend following EIP 5069 that explains what is expected by them and what the authors should be performing on their own. The next one is, okay. Next one is from the past meeting. So the item for discussion was considered adopting a community specification license term for the new ERC depot. And we were expecting some updates from, I suppose it was from Victor, and I believe Victor is not on the call today, but he dropped some comment here on the Discord. It suggests that copyright license for ERC ref repo, thinking of CC0 plus Apache 2.0 dual license. And that's what it's from his side. Anyone else has any other information to add here?
Licenses suck, and I don't ever want to talk about them.
And I think we learned about a new license type yesterday as well. Was that a new license type or just a body managing standardization?
Was that directed
Never
at me,
mind.
or?
Yes. I think in the last meeting, EIP editing office hour, we came across something new. I may have been missing. Never mind. All right, so that's the only update shared by Victor. And yeah, we can move on to the next one. Next one was updating EIP 721. I suppose the decision made on the last call was if there is no objection, we can merge the proposal after 2 weeks, and it's more than 2 weeks. So I was just wondering if it is good to merge. The PR number is 7550.
Yeah, I think I'm okay to merge this still.
Okay, cool. So we'll market that, and yeah, whenever you get a chance, please merge that. The next one is EIP ERC GitHub repositories. So I see proposal 7329, ERC EIP repository split. A meta proposal by Matt and Dano is in the final status. I wanted to bring it to the agenda to maybe figure out what are the next steps from here when we are expecting this repo split. Is there any new PR or Matt's initial PR still hold good, or anything that we would like to share with the community in form of announcement or updates on this?
Matt, would we need to rerun your script to update the EIP? I mean, the PR?
I mean, definitely, but this isn't really something I think we can just like do on our own. Like we need to sit on a call with Panda and Sam and spend 2 hours and really just merge it and do the splitting, because I don't
Right.
think that the PR is perfect.
We can schedule a call. I'll send out an invite or something this week.
Thanks.
Can we expect this call in between the next EIPIP call and today, so we can have some updates for the next meeting, and I can put it up on the agenda as well?
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to get it scheduled like either this week or next. So
That would be great. Thank you. We do have Greg on the call, although he mentioned that his connection keeps dropping. I wanted to check about the PR 7230. Greg, that a pull request by you about EIP pain relief. Do we still want to discuss that? Do you want to close it? Where we are on that?
Pieces of it are showing up in this other work, and I'm not sure what status to put it in. It's not exactly withdrawn. I guess it's just a PR, so it can sit there. I think I'm pretty close to satisfied that what's in there is making it in to the various decisions we're making, but it would take some review. But like I said, the move's a horror show, and my girlfriend's health has been collapsing stage by stage. So unfortunately, I just have not been able to give this any attention at a fairly crucial time. And all I can do is apologize for that.
No worries. I hope things get better at your side. Just curious, if you find some of the pain points are being addressed with other pull requests, there could be two possible options. If you do not want to continue with this pull request, you can close it perhaps. Otherwise, we can keep it open. But if unattended for over 2 months or so, bot may strike and it can go into stagnant and eventually get closed. So yeah, totally open for that. But if it is not something that you would want me to bring on the next meeting, I can perhaps drop it from the agenda for the next meeting onwards.
The next meeting, 2 weeks out.
That's right.
Let me briefly look at my calendar. Gosh. I don't think there's any other conferences happening then. Well, there was going to be, but I'm not going to be able to make it to that one. Yeah, I mean, it could just be closed. The information is there, and no, it's not going to get merged as it stands. So it can just be closed, because open or closed, the information is still there.
Very well. So we will mark it for today's decision that PR number 7230 will be closed.
Yeah, just like I say, it's ideas for things that I wanted to see changed, but those changes are happening in pieces in other places, and it really couldn't even be merged the way it is now without a lot of work.
Right. I'm glad we are at a better place when this PR was only originally drafted. All right,
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one is EIPS Insight. For EIPS Insight of the month of September, as I can see, we have a huge number of EIPs moving in. We have 20 draft, 12 review, 11 proposal in last call, 5 proposals are final, and 60 proposals are in stagnant status. 60 is a big number for proposals moving into stagnant. We understand that is because of proposal being unattended for a long period of time. I would take this opportunity to maybe request EIP authors, if you are here, if you are making a pull request to create a standard for Ethereum ecosystem, please stick around. If you have questions, we do have EIP editing office hour that happens every other Tuesday. Please check out EIPIP GitHub repositories issue section for the next meeting. And please come up there with your questions. You can add your PR for discussion, and we have EIP editor Samuelson there answering your questions in case you need any help. Push your proposal towards the final status. We can check out EIPSinsight.com with details of all EIPs in different statuses, proposals in last call. We request EIP authors to make a pull request after the deadline is completed to move the proposal to the final status. Be sure that the PR contains only the status change. If there are more changes with the pull request, we would like to review it, and perhaps we can extend the review period so we get everything sorted before we finally move the proposal to the final status. The next one is EIP editing office hour. As I mentioned, we organize this meeting every 2 weeks. Recording from the meeting 25 has been added, and agenda for meeting 26 is up there. Please take a look and add your pull request if you have any. And that pretty much summarizes all the items listed for today. Anyone has anything to bring up? I see a question here in the chat. I'm sorry, Prash. Unfortunately, this is not the meeting where we look into the pull request for draft and review. If there is any final EIP, we consider only those EIP for discussion here. However, thank you for sharing this. I hope this pull request will be reviewed by EIP editors. In case of any help, please reach out on Ethereum Cat Herders Discord. Anyone else has anything to bring up today, share for this meeting?
I mentioned it to Sam, I think, but in 5069, the handbook, forcibly removing an editor's seems an unnecessarily violent way of putting it.
I'll look into rewording it.
Thanks.
Awesome. Very well. We can give 28 minutes back to all our participants here today. Thank you everyone for showing us. See you around. Have a great day, everyone.
See you.
Bye-bye.